the computer. Because the last time I made a speech here, I forgot the charger. And I was a little bit afraid that the battery of the computer is not going to survive, right? The half an hour or a little bit more that we're going to talk. And I think this is the message that Andre Luiz gave us, right? That yes, we have done what we have done, but we're improving every single moment. And I always say this, right? As I repeat myself quite often, saying that perhaps this is our first life that we know about the spiritual as incarnated, as inside of a body, that we know that there is a spirit, that we know that this spirit is immortal, that we are spirits. We are just having an experience. It's like myself wearing jeans. It's not the jeans. That's me. I'm just wearing them. So the same idea is not me that is wearing this amount of water and carbon and other chemicals, but it's my spirit, that's me. And I think that this is the message that Andre Luiz gave us quite clearly, right? I don't know if this one, yes. And the first story is, okay, Andre Luiz is a spirit, right, that wrote several books, but communication from the other side happens since ages. It's nothing new, as we know. Spiritism didn't invent it. The spirits or did not invent it. Mediumism, or this ability that we have to talk to spirits, and also we as trying to be spiritisms, we cannot say that this belongs or this is only possible among us, right? Everyone has this ability, or everyone can have this ability to talk to spirits. In each case, news from afterlife, they happen since ages, right? So it is in the Bible at least 3 times, and then there is the story of Joanna d'Arc, and also Dante's Divine Comedy, and also every single story, because I'm listening to audiobooks when I'm driving, and I can observe that several people that are telling their stories, they have mediunic influences, right? They got, I had a light, I had an impression, I had something that told me to do this or to do that, right? So you can recognize this communication with the spirits. No? I'm listening a book about a very sad moment of us, and several people had just ideas to do things that are completely crazy in this moment of life, and you think, okay, this was because someone told him, hey, do this, do that. Yeah. So further down the road, as I said before, from the afterlife, we have communication since ages, right? And Spiritism and Chico Xavier, right? So in several cases, we forget a little bit this, no? That between the last book from Allan Kardec, as he was alive, the Genesis, and the first book from Chico Xavier, it was something like 64 years only, right? And this is crazy, because if you take a look in YouTube, Paris, 1850 something, there is a movie, someone filmed people walking by. So we could see the life in Paris as Kardec was alive, right, in YouTube. So, and yeah, from the Wikipedia, there is the list of books from Chico Xavier, and as we know, he wrote more than 400 books. And I made this list here. I'm willing to present to you this to give an idea when it was that Andre Luiz appeared to us, right? And also the blue ones is the ones that I recommend you guys to read. There is this Emmanuel book in English also in Amazon. I saw it. And yeah, there is also the Biblioteca Virtual Espírita, BV Espírita, but the link changed a little bit. So it's a little bit more complicated. It starts with Marcelo, right? Like my name, but it's not me. So then following the first book from Chico Xavier, it was 1932. And there is a very nice story. It's Parnaso de Além Túmulo. So it's a book about poetry, right? And the nice story is that Chico was afraid of saying this book, sending this book to the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. And everyone around him says, no, do it, send it. And then he sent it, right? On the day that this post came in, the president couldn't be there. So he let another person to be there. And this person was a critic on poetry. And he got this message. He got this book. And he starts reading it aloud because he was completely absorbed by the content, right? I said, this is Casimiro de Abreu. This is all the poetry, right? I can recognize this. These are the people that write, the style, the way. Take a look in the internet, right? Because it's also quite interesting. There is also very nice preachers there. There's one, the most beautiful prayer for Maria, Mother of Jesus, in this book. So then this made this person, Chico Xavier, that was a young man at that time, make him a respectable medium, right? And he starts writing. And you see, until 39, he wrote 9 books. And the number 15 poem, Stephen, that is there in English, is the one that everyone needs to read because it's very, very important. And in 44, it was the book Nosso Lar. In English, there is an old translation that's called Astral City, and there is a new translation that's called Nosso Lar. So like the name of the city, right? The city in English is also Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo, right? So the same story here, because Nosso Lar is the name of a city on the other side of life. So the new translations call it Nosso Lar. On the same year, we wrote another book from Andre Luiz called The Messengers. There is also several books, especially the first ones for sure from Andre Luiz, they are available in English, right? It's more difficult to find them as a PDF file to read in a computer or something, but they are available. If you really want to read this in English, and in several cases it's easier to read in English because the translations are newer, and also because Andre Luiz lived much earlier than this time, and he speaks with a complicated language that we don't use anymore in Portuguese. So in several cases, a little bit, and yes, and in English is much easier to read. So Nosso Lar, it was the 18th book that Chico Xavier wrote, right? As you see here, number 14, Humberto de Campos, number 16, Humberto de Campos. Remember that it was also a law dispute among the former wife from Humberto de Campos, saying, this is my husband, so I want my money, right? And the conclusion from the judge was, okay, a third person doesn't have any copyrights, so you cannot claim. So, but recognize that was the guy that was written, right? So this is just to bring you this idea that Andre Luiz is indeed, as we know out here, is indeed a real person, no? Because all of this. In each case, I see also with Andre Luiz and another person, very plenty of similarities. So Luke from the New Testament, he was a doctor, he saw the need to write about Jesus because it was like this at that time, right? I saw Jesus, and what Jesus told you. He told me this, and people start writing down. Huh? So this was the reason why it was the first council that put every single written format in one format, the Bible, as we know. Because before it was, I have heard from someone. Jacques told me, Carmen told me also, right? You told me something different, and I took notes. And then this starts getting a format, especially with Luke. So that's why when you read it, it makes more sense in terms of time. Things start happening one after the other. Luke also visited the place where Jesus was acting, and also talked to several people, also Maria, and he has the most beautiful parables. So is Jesus reporter, right? So he went after a very famous person, let's say like this, right? And look after what his person did. And Andre Luiz is also the same story. He's an afterlife reporter. It's he tells he's also a doctor, right? And yeah, in this slide, I want to say to you that there is a discussion, right? Who was Andre Luiz when he was alive? The answer is easy to be answered. He asked for anonymity. So he is Andre Luiz, and he was before. Doesn't matter. And also, I think that's also quite important, right, to us to understand this. We lived several times. And this time of life, I believe to be and be called Marcelo. The other life I was John. The other one I was Friedrich, and so forth, no? And as everybody else here, I was also one day Cleopatra, right? So, and also we can agree that's unimportant who he really was. Important is the message, no? It's like, it's important to know that Jesus was a man, or he could be a very short woman. What's the difference? The message is there, right? Love above all. Love the other as yourself. If it's a speaking dog, it's going to be the same. The same as the message makes sense. So it doesn't matter. This discussion, who he was, he was this fellow, no, he could be the other one. It's just losing of time. So back to the subject. Nosso Lar, it was for the first time from a famous, and at that time, already known medium that was a serious person, to bring things that happens on the afterlife, right? Because that's why also I put a star there for the first time in a more popular manner and with a known medium. Because there is another Nosso Lar written by a Swiss medium that tells exactly, or more or less, the same story. Someone that passed away and went to the other side and saw how it was and told the medium how it was. As we know, or as we all know here, the spiritual plane has always a second, right? If the message is to come, there is the number one, there is the number two. Kardec was the number one. The other fellow, Leon Denis, was the number two. And there is a number three, that's the astronomer. And the name of the astronomer is Camille Flammarion, exactly this guy. So the same story happens here, right? But I think the spiritual world could count with Chico Xavier and the Brazilian Spiritist Federation to publish it and to bring this to life. And Nosso Lar tells about the life, about the work, about family relationships, about organizations and laws, about continuity, about the justice of the spiritual world. So brings exactly what things are on the other side. And this brings them to the subject of I brought here, right, with the charger, that we are evolving, that we are results of our acts.
Before I did believe before those explanations and those facts brought by which reveals different the impression that people had at least I had is that someone died, those are the rest there are some people who think we talked about to the eternity. Well, there's another one, and there was another person before. I think I gave some information about the SC one. This is before Karnak.
Yes. Swedenborg, yes. But yeah, Swedenborg is one of the guys that signs the introduction of the Spirit's book. Yes, and there is also a spiritualist religion in Vietnam that when they got the books from Allan Kardec, they said, this is exactly what we are doing and saying, now just come in words. Yeah, so everything matches, everything converges to one point, that is the love of our creator. So yes, there is the Andre Luiz wrote much more than 13 books, but these are the 13 books in English now that he wrote, that is the so-called Life in the Spiritual World. As I call him, the afterlife reporter, right? So he talks about Nosso Lar, and then several of these books, the Messengers, Missionaries of the Light, Work, and so forth, he talks about the work that is done and how things work. How is the connection, right? For example, we study a lot the mechanism of mediumship, where he exactly explains how mediumship works from the perspective, from the point of view of the spirits. Sex and Destiny is a romance, and life goes on also, right? But everything else is much more. Also, these two last books is talking about how does it work with the influences from the point of view of the spirits to what we are doing here as incarnated, right? And everything points to the same direction, that we are the result from what we have done. So if we want to be better, we just need to act better. Yeah. Andre Luiz is also quite important for the medical discoveries, and also very important for the scientific part of spiritism, right? So he was the one that helped to create this AME, so it's Association Medical Spiritists from Brazil. And yeah, and several things that he said in his books that poor Chico Xavier needs to put it down on paper, not understanding exactly what it was. It was only proved 60 years after his books. There is a very interesting work from some doctors from AME on this, making the comparison from what Andre Luiz have said and what is done, the newest discoveries, and saying, okay, this fits, everything fits together. Andre Luiz also said that matter is coagulated light. The same thing as Albert Einstein said with this famous formula, that energy and matter objects are somehow the same. Yeah. So yes, Andre Luiz also has several other books bringing texts and thoughts, how to make ourselves, to bring ourselves to calm ourselves down, to bring clarity, to explain, and also to bring this idea of the immense love from our Creator. Yeah. So, and this is the point that I wanted to stress today, right? That he, in the beginning of Nosso Lar, he just bring this idea that for him, the situation was also completely new. So it was, he knew that he passed away, but where he was and what was going on with him, it was new. He didn't know exactly what to do, right? So he presents this as Nosso Lar as the spiritual world. He says, okay, our spiritual powers and memories are lost, so we incarnated and not to get lost. And there is a very nice movie from Netflix with Sandra Bullock that shows exactly this, why we forget everything. Is Unforgivable, I think is the name of the movie. Yes, where she committed a crime and she was in jail and she comes out of jail after a long period of time and everyone hates her because of this crime that she committed, right? And this is exactly the point of reincarnation. So we reincarnated exactly to get rid of these hates and only led us with love. Yeah. So, and everything in life makes sense and follows only one target, give us the opportunity to evolve. And also that we have only one life, the spiritual life, with several incarnations in between, as we know, right? And he wrote us in a way to instruct us, to give us his experience so that we can also improve ourselves, so that we can educate ourselves. Because also we have to understand this as spiritists, that we think in several cases, because I'm talking about myself, right? I thought about myself that I'm a very smart man because I believe in a religion that's a philosophy and that's also a science that is based on logic, right? So that this is very good and this is, so that's, I'm very smart. Yeah, I have to believe in these things because I haven't believed in anything before in my other lives. So that's why I came to Spiritism in this incarnation, to know for perhaps the first time as an incarnated person that I am a spirit, that I'm just having an experience and that I have to use this experience for the best of my my spirit. So, and this is the way, or this is the big message that he brings to us, right? That to change the way we think and to change the way we feel so that we can get this evolution and we get this one step closer to what Jesus said, so that this movement in this direction, in the direction of love, in the direction of happiness, right? Because I'm talking here about Chico Xavier and also Divaldo is also a very good example. They are, okay, Chico Xavier were always smiling. They're happy people. Huh? They are in peace with themselves. They see lots of suffering. They listen to lots of sad stories, but they are happy. They are in peace because they understand the story. And this is also our future, right? To be happy and peace and be okay. Yes. And again, it's exactly like the charter that I brought today, right? So Andre Luiz talked about himself. So I was a nobody. I was a non-important person. I was a mediocre, a mean person. And he tells about himself. I was born from a well-to-do family. So I made university without much effort. I just share dissipations and vices of my generation. And I was not concerned of any financial problems. So he had a very easy life. But he was suffering, right? In the beginning of Nosso Lar, he's angry, he's suffering the umbral, feeling alone and helpless. And he stayed in this situation for 8 years. And 8 years is not a long time, right? Because there are people that are 700 years in this situation, right? So good for him. But he got so tired and so upset that he finally starts praying. In this moment, if you read the book, you remember, come Clarence to him and say, you are saved, come on, be in peace. Now, so, and this is also written in the book, right? It was not Clarence that was having difficulties finding Andre Luiz. He knew exactly what he was. It was Andre Luiz that was difficult to find Clarence because he was in this kind of mindset, right? And this is perhaps the first lesson that we take from the book. It doesn't help anybody, especially myself, to be in this kind of atmosphere and be sad and be not helping anybody, not even myself, to be a happy person. So yeah, and that's why I place it here. Andre Luiz is for sure a model to us, right? Because everyone needs to be aware that yes, we can go one step further. We can move ourselves, right? And as we all know, the longest trekking starts with a single, very small step. So, and we have to go this direction, right? Because this will bring us happiness and etc. Right? Yeah. So, and also, it's also important to say that the higher spirits are seeing and guiding us. And we are the ones that are not willing to see this. Because as I said in the beginning, this communication happens all the time, from the afterlife to us. And I observed by myself that in several cases I said something that later on I think, oh, it wasn't me, right? This is not my sentence. This is not the way I talk, but I talked this way in this moment. Yeah. And also, it's important to remember that we are immersed in a notion of love, right? Because in several moments of our life, we get a little bit upset with this and that. But we have to remember that everything that there is was created by God, and God is equal love, and love is equal God, in the definition from Joana de Angelis. So everything that there is love. Even the things that are not so good, right, are love, are there so that we can overcome this, right? And the best example is I have 2 boys, right? They went to this training to get a driver's license, and they need to make the test to get approved. And both of them failed for the first time, and then later on they get, right? And yeah, so the proof itself, it was something sad in their lives, right? But the result in the end, be able to drive alone and be able to go to visit the friends and do this and that, it was very nice, right? They are quite happy that they can drive, huh? My youngest son, the car is not working anymore, and he's always asking every morning, afternoon, and night, where's my car? They're in the same place as before in the workshop. Oh, okay. Yeah. And where's my car? There. Yeah. So this is the thing that we also have to go through, right? And we all here have done this. We are far away from our families. We are in a country that speaks something similar to English. We are we are facing, we say good morning and everyone asks, where are you from? Huh? And this kind of thing that we think that we are a little bit more to the corner, right? We don't belong exactly here because this is not exactly where we are born, but everything is bringing us this opportunity to be better. Everything. Also diseases, also the family that's not here, also the work that we had in Brazil, and then here we are doing something completely different, in several cases much smaller than we are doing there, and so forth and so forth. Because of this, everything is for our good, right? So we have to go through these experiences. So Andre Luiz brings us this clear message. We all are able and we are more than capable of changing ourselves, of improving ourselves. And one of the good examples is when he found someone that his father in Nosso Lar also, and his father make this guy suffer, right? And in the afterlife, this guy said, it was the best that happens to us. So because we could learn, we could use our incarnation to our best. So thank you very much for this. And he was completely upset. So yes, finishing almost 10 minutes later, but because you talked so long, I say to you, thank you very much for your attention, right? And yeah. Thank you for your patience. And take a look. This is my getting better here.
Just sort of like better now. Opportunities to be better now. And just compliment that we know how for years we've been missing that the Earth, our planet is transitioning to a regeneration planet. So it's still saving, and with that, we have the opportunity to receive this blessing of improvement right now. It's like not be better, be better now to get to harvest the benefit in our life. No, we can do that now. Now we can do that now. We do now and we harvest now, and it has never been that easy before. So the only thing that is so many doors open to us at this moment because the planet wants to do this change.
Yes.
But it's getting its feet. Right? And with that, it's giving us an opportunity to do the work now. And it's not even a hard work. It's not even that. It's just so open our minds and our consciousness to just jump into this train of
Transition, evolution. Yeah.
That's now. So just not wait for the next slide.
No. No.
What we have to do is not just open the mind, open your heart. That's a very generous. The planet and all the universe is very generous about everyone that wants to jump. And in the next phase of this planet, which is gravitating to the positive polarity, is going to be basically all that.
Mm-hmm.
This karma and coming in the life with something or what we have to learn, this can be learned by that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's that you would have pay or come to learn on information, you may not need to. You just need to understand and be open.
Yeah. I think not only Andre Luiz, but also others authors from the spiritual world told us exactly what you said. In terms of Joana de Angelis also said quite clear, pain, yes, there is pain, but suffering is optional. So we are going to feel pain because the family is in 13,000 kilometers from here. But to suffer about this is my option. I can feel pain because my leg is hurting, but to suffer about this is something optional. I can suffer or I cannot. And this is also exactly what you said, right? So we are going to, in the next phase of the planet Earth, we're going to still have pain because but no suffering anymore, because then you understand, right, what things are, right? Yeah.
That sometimes I see I listen to people's spirits, people say, oh, I have some 10 times to pay or to, but no, that's not the way to think now. No, I don't. I'm ready now, happy now, I'm embracing, I'm open.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like we judge ourselves on a sense that I think what I've done, what that will cost incarnation to pay for that. But in reality, God consider. So everything like that we do, it's part of our learning, is part of our journey. And
Yes.
sometimes we include ourselves suffering that many times not even God, and then we blame like whatever it is, but it's ourselves.
It's like when I was a small child, I used to eat, on the half of my food was on the floor or on myself instead of in my belly, right? Because as every single small child do, they ate like this. So that's the first point. And the second point is also complementing what you said. I used to travel a lot, right? And then in sleeping one night in one hotel and the next in another hotel, so you get lost. And then in the fourth or third night, you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't know where you are. But the small light that comes under the door, or that comes to the window, it's enough that you can see where you are. This is exactly what you said. Perhaps we are just this small light, but with a small light, we can see where we are, where the switch is for the bigger light. That's Jesus, right, in this metaphor, so that we can find it this way, right? It's not, we don't need to wait until we are full of light. No, we can do it now, because as in the hotel room, we perhaps are just small lights, but it's enough. And, it's what's needed. This cup here is very small, but it has water inside, and the amount is enough. Yeah. No, I really like the way you spoke, right? About this optimism, about this, let's do it, right? About everything is right. It's just we have to change it. Here, should I close this or should I keep it? Doesn't matter? All right. So, then remembering that we are deep, deep, deep in an ocean of love. Let's breathe in love that's around us. And let's gratitude come out of us. Let's breathe in love. And let's think that we received today a prayer. We received today this nice speech. And now it's time to give, because only receiving is not good for ourselves. We have to make this everything circulate, this love circulate among us. Connecting all that we have, all the best things that we have in ourselves, and sending to the people that the names are inside of our prayer box. And the people that we forgot to put or that didn't have the time to put the names. Imagine these persons with a big, happy smile on their faces. We ask our mentors and the mentors of the Pedro Manuel Spirit Center to bring this amount of light that we are all putting together here to these people, to illuminate the hearts and the minds of these people so that they feel this love and that they feel attraction for this love and respect, and that they feel the will to go after more, to search for more, to receive more. And in this moment, they also are going to feel the need to give more. And if this is not the message above all religions, about all philosophies, what else would be? So then let's imagine our world covered in a beautiful, beautiful light that spans and circulates among everybody, especially the ones that are in more need, especially the ones that we think that are acting completely wrong, especially the ones that are lost for society. And in this way, we say thank you very much to all the spirits that are here with us, the spirits that are above them in moral terms, to Maria, Mother of Jesus, to Jesus himself and our Creator, for the opportunities we have and everything that we do to be closer to them. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Huh?